Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Anita from Yoga on the Road. Let's dive straight in today. Come to set up a space where you feel comfortable. We're coming into a reclined position on our back. So find any props that you know will help support you to feel safe, to feel relaxed, to feel undisturbed. Check out your environment, that it is the right temperature for you, you have the right lighting to support you, and you have the right environment that you know you will be undisturbed. Set up that space. And then once you come to lay down, I invite you to either softly rest your eyes, or if you're comfortable to, close the eyes down. And I often talk about setting or creating an intention. I'm going to take that out of your hands today as I guide us into the intention of practice today. And the intention is formed around a positive thought by a bit of a mentor of mine, actually. Her name is Jill Miller. She has written a book called Body by Breath, which I will leave the link in below the video here. It's a fabulous book. She does some great podcasts. But the thought around our practice today is my body thinks in feels. So if you say that to yourself quietly in your head for a few rounds and just sit with it and contemplate what that means for you. My body thinks in feels. These are a couple of words that I wrote down, and how this quote really resonates with myself. Feelings encompass such a vast scale of sensations, from the very felt sense of pain to the subtle nuances that our body can feel. It can take some of us more practice than others to discern and be aware of signals, sensations, and messages passed on through the body. There are many catalysts that can contribute to the inability to listen and respond, which can include trauma or any learnt protective and coping strategies. Yoga can be one of those tools that invites you to reconnect first and foremost, which allows you to make a much better informed decision about a course of action you could take to help you regulate. If you haven't already, begin to witness your breath. Begin to notice how it is your breath moves in and out of your body. See if you are able to discern a particular area where the breath feels more open and expansive than another area. Notice whether you're doing anything to change the breath. And as much as possible, let go of that. Just allow the breath to be natural. Consider the length of your breath. Consider whether you're breathing through your nose or through your mouth. Consider the length of each breath, noticing whether the inhale and the exhale are similar or different lengths. And all the while, as I'm guiding you to listen and watch and notice what your body is doing, notice also whether there's an element of judgment about the way that you're doing this. And if that is the case for you, just gently let any judgment go. See if you're able to notice judgment and look at it from an outsider's perspective, rather than allow this judgment to encompass you. Does your breath make a sound? And from that sound, are you able to hear ease, strain or tension, softness? This is part of you building your awareness, both of your external and of your internal body. And then simultaneously, you might start to notice different parts of your body, different connections that you have to the ground. For example, you might notice that as your feet rest wherever they rest, that they're starting to feel sensations like tingling or heaviness or textures. And your hands, wherever they rest, might feel the warmth of the material that they're resting on. They might feel total release and relaxation. And just be aware what sensations or signals come up for you. There are no right or wrong signals. Take a few more moments just to notice. Now, if I were to ask you to bend your knees, take your feet a hip distance apart, and lift your hips up towards the ceiling, without physically doing that, can you notice what parts of your body you might need to employ to help you obtain that shape or that position? Again, in your mind's eye, if I were to ask you to lift your hips up off the ground, can you feel what parts of your body, or notice that there's a little bit of movement in the body now, as though you were about to move into that shape? And now moving together through that physical practice of creating that shape, first start by lifting all your toes from the ground. And with that, you might notice that your big toe mound, your little toe mound, and the center of your heel create a stronger connection to the ground. Just notice whether that comes up for you. And then gently lower the toes. With your awareness still on those 3 points of your foot, take a breath into the lower belly, so the area just below the navel. And then as you breathe out, create a connection with your lower spine to the ground below you. Just notice what parts of your muscles might fire up. And then slowly release, just back to a neutral spine with whatever breath comes naturally to you. Let's repeat that cycle. Breathe in through the nose, expanding the belly. Breathe out, connect the lower spine to the mat. That might mean drawing the navel down a bit towards the spine. Feel that connection. Might feel like a connection between the lower ribs and the top of the hip bones. And they completely relax. Breathe into the lower belly. Breathe out, connect the spine to the ground. Press down into all of those points of the feet and start to physically lift the hips now slowly away from the mat. And as you move slowly, notice the different muscles that you're employing to assist you to rise up. Hold at the top, wherever the top is for you. Lift the toes if that helps you connect with the feet. And then follow the actions from the feet all the way up the calves to the knees. Take your attention to your upper thighs, which you might feel firing up to support that lift. Extend your awareness a little bit further beyond now to your glute muscles, which are your bottom muscles. Notice their engagement. And then continue on to feel whether you notice any of your back muscles helping to support. Whether your core muscles are helping to support and how your shoulders feel pressing into the mat. If you're still with me, take a couple more breaths here. Don't feel shy about coming out of this pose, but if you do come out of the pose, come out of it slowly and mindfully. Rest and wait for us to join you in whatever position feels comfortable for you. For everyone else, on an exhale, slowly start to lower vertebrae by vertebrae, top of the spine to the base of your spine. Being mindful of all the little changes that your physical body makes to accommodate the shape, the pose, the active and the passiveness. And then when you reach the bottom, take a natural couple of rounds of breath. I'm going to move through that twice more. Inhale, feel the belly rise. Exhale, have a feeling of pressing the lower part of the spine into the mat. Press into the feet, lift the hips physically from the mat. And this time I want you to have a feeling of dragging your feet up towards your shoulder blades or your upper body. And just notice how that changes the sensation or the feeling or the activeness of this pose. If that feels uncomfortable, then just soften and stay supported where you feel comfortable. If you've had that feeling of shifting your feet up towards your shoulders, they won't physically move, but you might notice that the muscles in the glute area have become more active. Stay with this feeling if it's comfortable for you, otherwise meet yourself where you need to. Start to learn to use your breath to help soften and support you. And then on your next exhale, you're lowering from the top of the spine to the base of your spine, slowly and mindfully. And again, in that stillness or that space between yoga forms, take a moment to notice your body and what it is thinking through the feelings that we've just created. Is there something more alive in your body now than there was a moment or two ago? Do you notice a deeper sense of whole body relaxation, or is there something that you're clinging or holding to? None of this is wrong. They are all sensations. They are all feelings. They are all signals. That desire just to be listened to. Let's move through one more. Breathe into the lower belly. As you breathe out, connect the spine to the floor. That might feel like the hips shifting a little, closing the gap between the ribs, and then press down into the feet, lift the hips high. This time, if you feel to, you might shuffle your shoulders in towards one another. If you can access it, you might interlace the hands, resettle the shoulders so they're comfortable, and let the hands rest beneath the body interlaced. If you have chosen that option, then you might notice a deeper opening in the chest area. Excuse me. Access your breath to support the position. Take a moment again to listen to your body. If you're experiencing any pinching in the lower spine, then have a feeling of tilting your hips forward and pressing your sit bones down towards the knees, just to create a little bit more length in the lower spine. If you're with me still, great. Hold for one more breath, a full cycle with an inhale and an exhale. And then if the hands are interlaced, release the grip of the hands, spread the shoulders wide again to create some space for the spine to move down on an exhale. Slow and steady. If you want to add another element to that, press down into the balls of the feet and lift the heels from the ground. Lowering vertebrae by important vertebrae all the way to the ground. Completely rest, and then allow yourself that time to just notice what's going on. To counteract that pose as well, you might like to take your feet as wide as the mat and just let the knees bump in towards one another. You can add any sort of movement here, as long as it's slow and gentle and considerate of where your body's just been. And then if you require a little bit more counter pose, then now's a good time to draw your knees in towards the chest. Make any movement you need to support you. Lower the feet to the ground. cross your right ankle over your left knee. So you've got like a figure 4 shape in the legs. Excuse me, I seem to have a frog in my throat today. Draw your left leg in towards you and then interlace the hands in behind the legs. If your arms are slightly longer and you have a little bit more flexibility in the hip region, then you might interlace the hands on the top of the knee. So just play around with those positions. Find what feels right for you. And let your attention sit within the feelings of this pose. Let your attention go to maybe the most intense feeling. Could be on the outer glute area of the right leg. Could be the back of the thigh. Could even be the arms or the shoulders. Again, there's no right or wrong feeling here. So just go with it. Listen to it. Respond by making any small adjustments. Because ultimately that's what yoga is about. Being able to make adjustments that suit your body. And as someone said in one of my yoga classes last night, this is just delicious. Might not be for everyone, so just notice what it is for you. Again, in this shape, listen to the sound of your breath and notice the quality it speaks to you of. Is it smooth? Is it slightly jagged, which will be an indication of tension or challenge within the pose? So just notice, respond appropriately, come out where necessary, move deeper where you have a feeling to, and take 2 more breaths wherever you've arrived. Release the interlace, slowly lower the legs, and then swap to the other side. Left ankle across right knee. Take a moment here just to notice the residual effects of side A. And then on an exhale, squeeze your legs in towards your chest. Reposition your hands where they're comfortable. Notice your perspective of the shape on this side. Are there similar characteristics? Different felt feelings or sensations in the body? Similar targeted areas? Similar or different breath qualities? And then let's investigate what it's like to switch our focus. So see if you can name the sensation that you're feeling in your body at the moment. For example, you might feel the glute muscle as a strong sensation. Is it comfortable or uncomfortable? Just notice, make any adjustments to suit. And then switch your focus or attention now to your breath. So as you breathe, notice whether you can feel your breath in your back body as the ribs expanding out and into the mat. For the next 3 cycles of breath, keep your attention connected to the movement, particularly to the ground below you. So feel your breath moving through your back and your side body. See if you can be aware of the fullness of your breath, of the heaviness and weight within the breath. And then switch the focus back to your initial sensation. So an area in the glutes or in the hips. And did you notice for a moment that you were actively able to shift your focus, to take your attention away from something that was creating perhaps some discomfort for you, perhaps not, but still were you able to shift your focus? This can just be as much of a lesson off the mat as it is on the mat. Slowly release your foot to the ground. Unhook your left ankle. And again, take a moment to notice. We'll end today's practice by extending the legs out long, Shavasana. So feel free to add any props to support you. The practice of Shavasana should be a conscious awareness of what is happening in your body. It's your opportunity to integrate where you've just moved, which again is an invitation back to my body thinks in feels. So take a moment to consider, what is your body telling you? Has it become softer? And if so, can you pinpoint where? Is it that you're still holding tension? And are there ways that you can make changes to shift that? What other signals can you feel? Can you be aware of? Can you hear even? Just allow this time to be full and alive with your senses, listening for sounds within the room, to outside of your space, to as far as you can possibly hear. Again, connecting with different feelings that you're aware of. Body signals, weight and textures of clothing, and position that you're lying. Tension, relaxation, temperature. The things you can smell in your space. Taking time to reconnect with your senses, not just on the mat, but more often through the day, is that opportunity to build your body awareness. Take the opportunity to stay here as long as you have the time available to you. Thank you for joining me this morning, this evening, whatever time it is there for you. I look forward to your company again soon. Namaste.